We have a couple of great guests for you. Dr. Carol Steltenkamp, who is the CMIO at University of Kentucky Healthcare. Dr. Steltenkamp is a practicing professor of pediatrics and has led nationally recognized programs of EHR implementations across multi-site healthcare delivery networks. We also have Christina Bevavino, who is the client technology engineer at UK Healthcare and has 20 years of experience with Vault implementation and AirWatch. Take it away, ladies.
Thank you. Good morning, and I want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you, Vault, for inviting us, and thank you to our colleagues who were here before and all that I've learned from what you've gone through. I want to make sure you learned something this morning, and our colleague from North Carolina made a mention that he had explained to everyone what y'all was. Well, I'm going to make sure you learn something. What's the plural of y'all? All y'all. All y'all. All y'all, okay? So now you are schooled, okay? All y'all. Glad, okay, so that's us. And this is what we're talking about. Integrating physician scheduling with a communication platform for fewer false outreaches. Basically, we're going to talk to you about Vault and Lightning Bolt. So we'll talk a little bit about the positives, and there are a few negatives. And Christina is going to really hit home on the technical parts of that. Now, the next slide, I was a little surprised. I was surprised because when I got the slide template, there was a blank space that said, you need to discuss the University of Florida. So I am. Thank you all very much. Earlier this year, the University of Kentucky college football team happily broke a 31-year streak that Florida had been beating UK football. But so I had to take my moment and gloat. Trey, where are you? All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And by the way, that's Derek Beatty Jr. He is a Florida native. Thank you very much. That UF tried not to recruit. UK did. And so he proudly carried the UK banner through the swamp. So, UK healthcare. This is our requisite slide. Yes. I am very proud to work there. So not only do we have Wildcats, we are one of the few universities that have all the major healthcare colleges, medicine, dentistry, nursing, allied health, pharmacy, and public health, all together on the same campus, and we're on the same campus as the university. So as you can see, we are the only level 1 adult and pediatric trauma center. The University of Louisville, excuse me, only has an adult level 1 trauma center. We have a lot of beds. We have a lot of providers. We have a lot of clinics. We have an NCI designated cancer center. We are the #1 hospital in Kentucky. We're HIMSS level 6, and we have magnet designation. So that's us. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to share with you the technical integration of the Vault platform with Lightning Bolt. We're going to talk a little bit about those challenges related to that integration and review the lessons learned and the next steps.
So the first thing, Carol came to me and she said, someone came to me and they said, why do I have to go to one place to look up who's on call, our intranet site, and then go to another place to call them? So
I wasn't about to fix that. Wrong one.
Oops, sorry.
There you go. Dang technology.
Sorry. Well, we don't have to anymore. The Lightning Bolt on-call schedule is now integrated into Vault in version 3.6, which goes towards simplifying the clinician tool belt. As you can see, we're slowly pecking away at the heaviness of all the items that folks have to carry around to do their daily jobs. So some of the technical requirements, just kind of a broad overview. It requires a minimum of Vault Platform 3.6, so that's encouragement to get you to move on there. It's available in Volt 1 3.6 and Volt Me 3.6. I just threw the requirements out there for iPhone and Android. I'm going to skip that next part. There's a Lightning Bolt service account that basically facilitates getting to Lightning Bolt via Volt. So you just click on it, and there's no need to authenticate to Lightning Bolt. You get straight in.
And I'm going to start to take you through where we, thank you, ma'am, where we are from a desktop standpoint. So Lightning Bolt, which is an internet-based, I don't know if is everyone here familiar with what Lightning Bolt is? It's a scheduling system that we had incorporated at our organization for both attendings and house staff. And it's interesting because Lightning Bolt, folks are mandated to use it, but it's fascinating because we are still having to pry out of their cold, not quite dead hands the scheduling systems that they had used prior to being forced to use Lightning Bolt. So many of them, so we still have departments that are paying for their scheduling system. Some are on a SharePoint site, and others are paying for another, but then everyone does double work and has to put it into Lightning Bolt. So slowly but surely, they're moving along and heading into Lightning Bolt. So this is our internet intranet. You go to CareWeb, and there it says right there in red, provider on call. Right? So you're on the desktop, you click that, and here's what it looks like. And what I want to draw your attention to is that line across the top where you can see where it says Enterprise Core Services, Rotating Services, and Clinical Support Services. By the way, nobody likes to be ancillary anymore, right? You're clinical support. So, and that's good, that's all right, no problem. So, you go click to the clinical, this is a main clinical service. The example up there is the pediatric ICU, which, by the way, I'm really very jealous of my colleagues in Atlanta at the Children's Hospital. I'll tell you in a minute why. But so you look here at the PICU. One of the things that we really liked about this is it shows you who was on before and who's going to be coming on after. So, right, you look at that, you can see who's on at present, who was on before. And why is that important? Well, it's important because you may be calling about an order that was dropped while somebody else was on call. So if you're still able to get in touch with them, then that becomes very important, and that our end users found that to be very helpful. But as Christina noted, folks were coming and saying, this is silly. Why should I have to go one place and look up who's on call and then get into Volt, go to Lightning Bolt on the desktop, look who's on call, and then go to Volt to reach them? So Christina and the technical team waved the magic wand in working very closely, right, it's the wand, working very closely with the vendors, I will have to say, and you'll see that in our lessons learned. It was very important. They also saw the real power in this, so we're very happy and we're very amenable to work with us, Volt and Lightning Bolt, to get this accomplished. So there you are in your home screen, in your menu screen. You can go ahead and click the on-call schedule. What's that look like? So now all of a sudden you have a list of the departments. What I'm going to draw your attention to is that list is a little wieldy, okay, when you start to look at it. So now I've clicked on, and I can see, I've clicked on, I think it's medicine, in one of the hospital medicines. It gets very long. And I point that out because I want to make this go backward. When you look at that, that's more intuitive, all right? So I will do a little mea culpa here because we let perfection be the enemy of good. So Volt and Lightning Bolt worked with our teams, came forward with this, and we said, not good enough. Well, you know, that's not in the spirit. That's not in the spirit of being a development partner. So when you see some things, you'll see that our uptick hasn't been as great. They came to us in the April-May timeframe. And it wasn't until the end of July, beginning of August, that we said, that's not being a good partner. We really should take this under the auspices of something is better than nothing. And you'll see that as we get into some of our survey results and our timing results, that proved to be true.
So this next slide shows the difference between our lightning bolt usage via the website, via the intranet site, and the lightning bolt usage via Volt. We clearly need to get the word out there that the feature is available and it saves you time. So get on Volt, start using it, and let's save some time. And this next page shows the top 10 CareWeb page views, the average time on page. So this is access of Lightning Bolt via our intranet site. People spend just about twice as long on this site as they do when they access Lightning Bolt via Volt, because they get on, they page, they stay on the page until they're done. They don't move on to the next task until they've reached that person. So now, as you can see on this next page, this is how long it takes typically when you access to reach an on-call via the web, via the Volt app. It's about half the time. People are in and out. They, click on the needed on-call provider. They call or Volt text them, and they are out. And so it saves a lot of time.
And one of the things I'll point out to you is this also reflects to you the top users. So hospital medicine, they're in our organization. Some power users, they get how this can make a difference to them. So you can see they've gone after that. And face call, by the way, that's one of our rotating services. So it depends on, face call is taken by ear, nose, and throat, or it might be taken by plastic surgery, or it might be taken by oral maxillofacial surgery. So you're never quite sure who's on for face call. So you can, I know it sounds odd, I apologize, but face call. We have a lot of people in Kentucky that do things like, here, hold my beer and watch this, okay? So, all right? So face call is a necessity, all right? On a level 1 trauma center, all right? So, I could say something about Tennessee and your teeth, but I won't, okay?
So as you can see from this, you can see that the providers that are accessed from Volt are typically the providers that are available via Volt. And that's why it's so much quicker. Whereas via the intranet site, it's the providers that are not available on Volt that you're going to have to page anyway. And here we did a little time study to just show you how long exactly, and I cannot read any of this.
So when you think through this, you think about what we did is we literally did time studies of folks, all right, and how long it would take to do one versus the other. So you have to go to a desktop. So there's travel time to a desktop to look up, to get to Lightning Bolt. You have to log on, open your internet. You have to go to your page and find what you're doing, and then you have to drop the page. Now, you've gotten onto Lightning Bolt, you've discovered who is the person on call, and you've dropped the page. Now, I do believe that this is a gracious and kind 7 minutes. 7 minutes, to return a page. My guess is that it's much higher than that regularly, but with the Hawthorne effect here, people responded. They knew we were timing them. So, right. Yeah, and the CMIO is timing you. Well, you might want to return the call. And then you can see that because there is the opportunity, our USA Mobility pagers, yes, like Misery Loves Company. I was so happy to hear people go, we want to get rid of the pagers. Oh, you mean you haven't either? Yes. But the USA Mobility pagers, you can text. But let's all remember, that is not HIPAA compliant, folks, okay? You can send anything you want to across those, but not cool, all right? Somewhere our compliance officer is twitching, okay? So that's the big red X, so you can't do it. And so I wanted to draw your attention to the yellow circle down there, which is 8 minutes and 13 seconds on an ideal instance. when you've gone to Lightning Bolt, you found who you need to call, you've paged them, and they've actually returned. And that's assuming that, let's say it's a nurse and physician interaction, that the nurse didn't get called away and was actually available, right, at that spot. So post integration of those two, I want you to take a look at that timing. So when you look at that, same deal, you're now, let's say the nurse is on a Vault platform, is on their MC40s, which they hate, by the way. We'll get into that in a minute. But get on that device, and they can now go in and see exactly who they need, right? So they pick it up. There's no more going to the desktop. It's right there to them. They see who they need to call. They are able to text that provider in a HIPAA-secured fashion. We've taken out that 7 minutes, and lo and behold, click it again for me. Ta-da! Okay? We are now down to a minute. All right? When you look at that opportunity, that is really significant. You know, I'm not going to go into the, you know, the saving lives and da-da-da-da-da, you know, but I'm certain it will at some point, right? It's that much quicker, but it saves time. And if we can get things to our staff at the bedside and all faster and get those questions answered, it's just that much better for all of us. And your satisfaction goes way up.
So now, you know, when they first came to it, we actually started talking about this, about the Lightning Bolt integration way before it happened. And when they first came, they said, oh, you know, no biggie. Both platforms have great APIs. We should be able to make these things talk pretty easy, and it'll be great. And big win for us because it's easy. Big win for the docs because it's, you know, it makes it easier for them. But, well, the application wasn't so easy. First of all, they couldn't present, while we could share the data, they couldn't present it optimally to Vault. So what we're doing is we're effectively showing a PC website on a mobile device, which isn't optimal because you have to scroll back and forth, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not perfect, but you know, with a little education, everyone gets by. It's still very effective and saves a lot of time. So, you know, education went a long way. Another item that was an issue was the Lightning Bolt accounts were different from the Vault accounts. Sometimes names were different, sometimes we were missing people in either side. We had to sync everything up and then develop a process to keep it synced so that hyperlinks in Lightning Bolt from the Vault application were always up to date, and you could always click on one of those hyperlinks to Vault someone immediately.
Right, you know, and that's not, and I don't want that to be trivialized because that's really big. Because on your call schedule in Lightning Bolt, maybe I'm Susie. Right. But in Vault, because we're pulling from ERP and everything else, you are Susan. Right. So those things can really trip you up. And so I wanted to underscore what Christina was talking about, keeping those in sync.
And sometimes emails weren't in sync. You know, sometimes they had their fun email as opposed to, you know, first initial, last name, you know. What else? The initial mobile interface met with a lot of reluctance because it didn't look like the internet site. The structure was different. You know, they wanted it to be perfect, and we really, this is phase one, and we wanted to make progress and not let perfection be the enemy of the good enough. We needed to make progress. So we finally convinced everybody that, you know, this is progress, this is going to save people time, and kind of got it through. Another issue we see is sometimes when you're clicking on a user from the Lightning Bolt, I'll call it Lightning Bolt Mobile from the Vault interface, it's a little slow. And people would get confused because they'd have a blank screen until something came up. Well, we just put a little message there to let people know that it's coming.
Please wait.
Again, I already kind of touched on this before, but The Lightning Bolt interface right now is not optimized for a mobile phone. It's basically viewing a website that was really meant for your PC via your phone. So you're scrolling back and forth, and it's kind of funky how the title kind of moves with it. But you know what? It's usable, and like I said, it saves time. We really need to boost awareness of the feature. We did all that we could to communicate it via our internal mechanisms, but there's still a lot of people that are not aware of it, unfortunately, so we really need to work on that. Another one of our bigger problems is that provider adoption is still pretty low, so the time efficiencies that we can gain from going to Lightning Bolt and clicking on a provider and being able to immediately Volt and call or Volt message them, that's lost if a provider is not online. So we need to work on provider adoption. There was no, Volt did not have any Lightning Bolt auditing, so we had to go back to Lightning Bolt, and they provided us Google Analytics to gauge usage and how long people were on page. So, you know, we could kind of know what we needed to hit and how to improve the feature.
So as we were anticipating coming here, we wanted to reach out to folks and get an idea of how they thought things were going. And this is where I'll tell you I was jealous of the folks at Children's Hospital of Atlanta, our Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Pediatricians, I'm a pediatrician, they're generally nice people. They do what you ask them to do. Our pediatricians have had great uptake. I mean, marvelous. There are some of our power users along with our adult hospitalists. Now, what my colleague in Atlanta didn't have to face was a whole bunch of grumpy trauma surgeons and, you know, folks like that. You'll see some of that response reflected in what I'm about to show you. Now, I'll also tell you that CMIOs are oftentimes pediatricians. You find I always laugh and say, there's a reason for that. It's because when my colleagues have toddler-like behavior in response to these systems, I'm professionally trained on how to deal with it, you know? Step away from the surgeon, put down your scalpel, it's okay. So, as I noted to you, we went live with our integration in the middle of August. And we sent a satisfaction survey, went for about a week. So I was actually pretty pleased that we got 232 responses back. And you can see there's the distribution. And you're also going to see some interesting results, many of which have nothing to do with what we're talking about today. But I think that was a real take-home for us, all right? They didn't know. We were specifically asking them about the integration of Lightning Bolt to Volt and ask them to comment on it and help us to improve. They weren't aware. And so we got a lot of random commentary, but I want to draw your attention to the bar on the bottom. Those that did say that they thought it really did save them time were about 40 minutes a day. That's significant, okay? So even if it's not that, I will tell you that is a huge boost that they believe that it is, right? So you can see some of our results here, and I think what this shows you is that you should never give people a middle answer, okay? Because that's what they're going to choose, all right? If you give them a 1 to 5, they're gonna go 3, right? I don't know, I don't care. But if you really take a look at it, I think those that did take some time, you could see it tends to lean, in some of them, up. Ability to send and receive text messages, improved. Ease of effort to communicate with the clinicians, improved. Interesting, the timeliness, I thought they didn't really appreciate. An ability to identify the on-call provider is really pretty much split, and that has something else to do. I'll comment in a minute about that one. Ability to identify if an on-call provider is available. Yes, that also was a positive. So I want to share with you some of our user comments, all right? But I will tell you, I left out what do you think the #1 comment was? Now, we asked them specifically about the Lightning Bolt Volt integration. The #1 comment was, I hate that MC40. Okay? Well, thank you. That was helpful about the Volt Lightning Bolt integration, okay? So we, like others who have commented here, are looking at transitioning that particular device. Looking at transitioning that particular device, okay? Great improvement. Linking it's useful. Please add it to the web version. So if folks actually were starting to look at this, they did see what we, and Trey, please take home #5. I love Volt. It's quick and easy to access providers. Much better than looking them up and paging them. It would be nice, here's the take home that earlier. It would be nice if the provider was listed under room number, like the tech and the RN, and it's right there. So, yes, we will be hounding our colleagues from Miami and wherever else already had that patient integration, okay? Because that's exactly what our end users are asking for. So I'm happy to see that we're right in line with our colleagues here and with the roadmap that Volt is looking to do. So, user comments about lack of adoption, right? Get it off the residents' phones. So let residents have the Volts you give the nurses and stop violating resident privacy, which I think is really funny because I think if we gave them all MC40s, good Lord, could you imagine that, okay? So that little part of me wants to do that. Here's what you asked for. see your scrubs hanging down around your knees, right? So, but what we learned was, and it's, you know, quite a bit of it's really not a surprise, but I will have to say the ferocity with which it came forth was a bit of a surprise. And that is, clinicians or physicians particularly are a pretty independent bunch. They are all well and good. They took my cell phone, I was going to show you, to pull out their cell phone and text you anything they want to, right? In a HIPAA non-compliant manner, they'll send anything. They take pictures of x-rays, they take pictures of patient wounds, they do everything and send them, right? All, again, my compliance officer's twitching, right? So they do that without any problem on their device. But the moment we tell them that they have to use this on their device, it's a big problem, okay? So just an independent lot. If I want to do it, I'll do it. But the minute you tell me I have to do it, not going to do it. So we are still working our way through mandatory usage. And you'll see that on the bullet point on the bottom. And that was, and really both of them, comment to it, you know, it's all really great and good if they use that dang thing, right? Because if they're not logged in and they're not using Volt, then that's a bigger problem. So I will say to you, that continues to be a challenge. So I get back to my jealousy of my colleagues in Atlanta at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, because I wish I only had to deal with the pediatricians. But so I do think, I will tell you, experience suggests that we've already had an improved pickup as our residents changed over this next year, okay? So I don't know how many of you work in organizations that have residency programs, but so the older ones, I'm gonna take a stand, they're out of there, right? Okay, and now, so as they start to leave and the new kids come on, sorry, they're all children to me, I'm old. So as they all come on, they're like, oh, we're supposed to put this on our phone? Okay. If I could ask, how many of you, since you're all obviously, it's kind of fun, you're all Volt users, how many folks either give a device or reimburse for the device? Can I see a show of hands, either? Most of you, most of the room does not. Thank you, okay. Because we financially said it's not feasible for us to financially give everyone money for their device. Number two, as a state organization, I like to share this with them because it scares them, that if we give you money for your device, that means your entire device is open, is amenable to the open records law. That scares them a little bit, all right? And so then they always revert back to, well, then just give me a device. So, okay, I'll give you that MC40. Like I said, I'm used to toddler behavior. One of the others that, along that theme, I will just tell you, and this has died down, but after we began this, and it really came in earnest earlier this year, some of those senior residents in surgery started a Twitter feed called #Revolt, okay? Because they did not want to put it on their phone. That has died down, and they spelled it correctly, okay? But regardless. So that continues to be a challenge for us, as you can see. Our lessons learned, and I was really excited to see what some other folks were doing here, because I'm like, why didn't we think of that? Great idea. Sending the Muse and the Pews through, that's awesome. You know, those sorts of things. So again, thank you all for your contributions. It's been a big plus to us. We have to make the Volt platform mandatory, but that's a challenge. That's a challenge. They can still pick up. I did appreciate the nurses, you know, tell the nurses, well, just don't take any orders from that. Or, well, of course, no orders, but just don't respond to any, you know, any sorts of messages that don't come via Volt. That, I anticipate, will be a next step that we'll get to. We need to continue to strive for a seamless workflow. I need to get Christina, our clinicians need to have Christina and her team really actually even more integrated into what we're doing. So, I mean, she's the subject matter expert. Get her up there to go, wow, why haven't we thought about doing this? So I think that's what we need to continue to strive for. Match the device with the provider and their workflow. I still believe that the BYOD is what our physician and advanced practice providers will be using. And yes, we will need to be addressing those MC40s. They're just not popular. It takes a strong IT team with a cooperative spirit, and that really goes hand in hand with the next, and that is that vendors that are willing to collaborate. It really was fun to do this. And again, I'll reiterate my mea culpa that we should have been better partners at day one when they put it forth, instead of us saying, oh, no, it's not good enough. It's great. It's great. And you could see the folks that have adopted it really like it. Our time studies show that it makes a difference. And so we will continue to, you know, partner with them, and that's been a big plus for us. And finally, improve communication surrounding our value-added features. You know, that also goes a little hand in hand with they need to continue to use it. So our nursing staff who are mandated to use it really do find it very helpful. Our physician staff, like our hospitalists, like I said, our pediatricians, others who are heavy users, again, also really appreciate it. And many of our house staff are also really adopting it. But we need to get out amongst the ranks. And like whoever asked it earlier, thank you very much. Yeah, I want to copy that 30-page thing too. Thank you. Yeah. You know, to really just get it out there and make it the expectation of this is how we will communicate at UK Healthcare. So I think we're ready for questions.
Thanks very much, guys. That's a great presentation. We've got time for one or two real quick questions.
We answered it all.
No questions?
No questions. We answered it all. Great.
Oh, right here.
Good morning. Wonderful presentation. We want to know if you have any job openings. No. So at our facility, we're mandating the use of our scheduling software.
For your what?
Our scheduling software. Have you mandated the use of Lightning Bolt?
Have we
Mandated the use of
yes,
Lightning Bolt?
Yes, everybody has to use Lightning Bolt, although many others are still using another scheduling system also. But you have to put, and by the way, we QA, I forgot to comment on that. We QA spot check to make sure people have put it in Lightning Bolt. Because again, we did not want our end users that have gone to use it to say, well, there was nothing in there. right? So we do QA to maintain.
And that's both for your employed and non-employed population of physicians?
We don't really have any non-employed, which in turn would go, so really? You can't make them use it? Yeah, so.
And do you have integration with your EMR?
Do we have integration with our EMR? Not yet, but I anticipate that'll be our next. Our EMR is Allscripts. I anticipate that'll be our next on the care team when you look at that, so that it can then be patient-based. Is there a question?
I was just going to follow up on that. First of all, thank you for your relentlessness as a development partner and making it easy for the rest of us. You know, you guys are the early adopters and risk takers. But my question as a follow-up to that was, what do you think is the root cause for the low rate of adoption? Maybe it's not low, but with Lightning Bolt in particular, why are those departments still duplicating their work? Don't they see any value in Lightning
You mean
Bolt?
as far as why they haven't? It's change. I firmly believe that it's change. That I've always used, pardon me, another software like Am I On? I've always done it on my SharePoint spreadsheet. I've always done it that way. I anticipate our next phase will be that we will begin to say, no, you're not going to get paid for both of those. We're no longer going to pay. Even if you as a department want to pay for it, we're cutting that out. I mean, you know, nobody's got the margins that you can continue to afford to pay for 2 scheduling systems. That's just silly. And I'm not here to boost Lightning Bolt, but I will tell you it has much greater functionality.
Are any of those still using their old and not using Lightning Bolt?
No,
even though
Lightning
you've
Bolt
made it
is mandated. So at a minimum, they're either doing Lightning Bolt or they're doing 2. They're doing something and Lightning Bolt.
Thank you.
Christina, Dr. Stoltenkamp, thank you very much.
Thank you.